Hello friends, this video on physical and chemical changes part 6 is brought to you by examfear.com. No more fear from exam. So now the most common example of chemical change, that is rusting. In fact, I mentioned it on the very first slide only. So what is rusting? It is nothing but the presence of a reddish brown layer over iron articles. Now it is not necessary that rusting happens only to iron. It also happens to other metals like copper. In copper also you can see a greenish layer over its surface. That also happens due to rusting. Now this rusting takes place in presence of air and water. And it happens when iron is exposed to moist air. So moist means it will have some water, and air is oxygen. So in presence of oxygen and water, this rusting will take place. So it will acquire a coating of a brown flecky substance, and this is called rust. So basically, if you look at it from the chemistry point of view, if you look at it from the chemical reaction point of view, you will see that rust is nothing but iron oxide, because when iron combines with air and water, it forms a new compound, and that new compound is iron oxide. It is a compound of iron oxide, and this is what is rust. So let us perform a very simple experiment to show that rust can form only in presence of oxygen and water. So it cannot happen in presence of only water or in presence of only air. So see, in the first setup, this is on all the three setups, I have taken an iron nail. So in the first scenario, you see that it is put into water. So basically water is present and it is also exposed to air. So here air is also present. So both air and water is present. So in this case, what happens? Rusting takes place, and that is why you see the iron nail has turned a little bit of reddish. So why did that happen? Due to rusting. In the second case, you see it is water is present there, but it has been blocked so that there is no air being made available to the nail. So now in presence of only water, again no rusting takes place. In the third scenario, instead of water, some calcium chloride has been taken so that it cannot react with water. So in this case, due to absence of water, again rusting cannot take place. So this proves that both air and water are required for corrosion. Both of them are required. In presence of only air or only water, rusting cannot take place. Therefore, the chances of rusting are more where the air is little moist. Like in a lot of places, like near the coastal areas, the air has a lot of moisture. So the chances of rusting are more in those kind of areas. Rusting has a lot of disadvantages associated with it because it is not a desirable thing. Why? Because the metal becomes brittle and weak. So the metal loses its strength. It makes the metal weak. So it tends to break. It's like gets spoiled to some extent, you can say. It also destroys the appearance and shine of the metal, because normally if it is proper, if it is without rusting, it will have its own glaze and shine. So that is also lost. Favors growth of bacteria and viruses. In fact, that is why you would have seen that if people get hurt by iron objects, especially rusted iron objects, in that case they are often given the injections for tetanus. Why? Because this tetanus viruses, they often grow in the rusted iron. So the chances of your body being infected by these kind of viruses becomes more. So that way also it is something which is not desirable, right? Because the rusted areas, they will have more bacteria and viruses, and these bacteria and viruses might harm us in a number of ways. Now, since there are so many disadvantages associated with rusting, so we should try to do something to prevent it. So what do we do to prevent rusting or to stop rusting? So the first thing is painting. So if we paint the surface of iron, then iron will not be able to come in contact with air and water. So therefore rusting will not take place. Greasing, so applying grease over the surface, again, or anything which acts as a protective layer between iron and air and water. So anything like that will do. So painting, greasing, oiling, so all these things can work. In fact, one of the most popular method to prevent rusting is called galvanization. Now, what is galvanization? So let us have a quick look on galvanization. So it is a process by which iron is protected from rusting by coating them with a thin layer of zinc. Now zinc is one such metal which can act as a protective layer because it is itself corrosion resistant. So it is resistant to rusting. So zinc is corrosion resistant. So that means it itself doesn't get corroded. So therefore, if you put one layer of zinc over iron, what will happen? The shine will also be there. At the same time, rusting will also not happen. The strength of the iron will also be retained. So in this picture, you can see a lot of galvanized nails. So you see they have a coating of zinc, they are well protected, iron strength is also retained. So galvanization is a very useful technique by which iron can be protected from rusting. So zinc is nothing but a protective layer, like umbrella protects us from rainfall. Similarly, this umbrella is nothing but it is like zinc, and we are like the iron. So we are being protected by umbrella. So based on all the examples which we have discussed for the chemical change, what did we observe? Some of the common changes that we observe, some of the common features that we observe in all the chemical changes are, in all these changes, heat is either absorbed or released. For example, you think of any example, you think of a firecracker, heat is released. You think of cooking an omelette, again, heat is being provided. Without heat, it will not happen. You think of burning wood, again, heat is released. So in most of these examples, either heat is absorbed or heat is released. Either light is absorbed or light is released. Burning a piece of paper, burning wood, burning crackers. So all of these release light. Sound is produced. The best example would be the crackers. Change in color, for example, when you breathe out into the lime water, it turns milky, so the color changes. Change in smell. For example, during curdling of milk, so you see the smell of the curd and the smell of the milk, so there is a difference. So you can notice that difference. Formation of a new substance. This happened in almost all the cases. Let's take the example of rusting. Rust was a new substance which was formed, the oxide of iron. So that means now it is not necessary that in a particular chemical change all of these changes had to take place, but yes, one or more of these were observed in every chemical change. So we can say that one of these can also give an indication that the change is a chemical change. Thank you. Please visit www.examfear.com to watch more educational videos with a better experience. Please do not forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel for latest updates. Thank you once again.